Hey, what's up guys, Nate here. So Facebook has been recently receiving a little bit of flack from small businesses and people in small business communities that are worried that Facebook is not doing enough to help them on their platform. In recent, years, it even seems like Facebook has been catering to large businesses and not to small businesses. So we're going to talk about some of the things that Facebook is doing and why it might seem that way. But if you want to make sure that you are going to be successful in your business, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. On this channel, I talk about scaling online businesses and infrastructure and the latest news happening in the marketing industry. So make sure you hit that subscribe down below if you're interested in those things. Thank you guys so much. All right, let's talk about Facebook. So obviously over the past couple of months, there has been a lot of struggle happening between businesses and Facebook. Facebook received a lot of flack back in the fall when there were a lot of account shutdowns happening and ad bans and disqualifications happening and disapprovals and people's accounts, just the entire profiles getting shut down. It was a huge mess in the fall of this year. Now, what's happened recently is there has been a leak of the new help center that Facebook is going to put out. And according to them, the whole point of this is to be able to give people more useful information faster. Where the complaints come in is that people do not think that this is actually solving the problem. The problem is very obvious, but it's really not going to solve my problems, especially the problems that I'm having on a day-to-day basis. With all these account shutdowns and disapprovals, it's not necessarily a new help center that we need. The help center wasn't necessarily the problem. It was the timing behind everything and the whole idea of customer service and not really knowing anything for weeks upon end and just these random shutdowns that were a huge problem for people. It wasn't really the help center, so I don't know how updating and the frequently asked questions and sending people to those is really going to help them in the long term. But at the same time, it seems like they are at least putting some interest into the idea of a better help center for businesses, because I think that, as I've talked about in videos in the past, these online social media networks are going to start catering more to e-com brands and online brands, more so than I think over the past couple of years, as we've seen the blow up of e-com over the past year, obviously with a lot of things going on. Now, it's important to understand that when you get angry at Facebook for this, you need to understand that it's not a person sitting behind a computer that is actually doing this. Facebook has bots that do these types of things. So when an ad account gets shut down or when a profile gets banned or an ad gets disapproved, it's not somebody who is necessarily sitting behind a computer with their keyboard just looking through your account and they're just like, oh, here's an ad, let's ban this ad, or let's shut down this account. No, it's typically bots that do it. They're programmed with AI and machine learning. And so the whole point of that is just to be able to automate the system and make it for scale. Now, where Facebook really begins to struggle is that whole idea of scale. And so just given these circumstances, does Facebook actually hate small businesses? Well, I want to talk about really quick what we actually do know. And so while random shutdown and rejections were a problem around fall of 2020 of this year, it's not necessarily just been that case just for this year. I mean, rejections and account shutdowns have always been a thing because, again, it's bots. They sometimes make mistakes, and that is the risk that we have to take when we're advertising on the platforms. Now, as things change in terms of privacy and community standards and policies are updated, bots have to change with that as well. And as we've seen, the updates that happen on Facebook typically affect everyone in a bad way and kind of take some time in order to get back up into place. The problem has always been with that is the scalability of customer service. Because again, when you make an appeal on an account, then it goes to an individual who is going to then review it with a team and then decide if, your ad can be approved or if the account can get shut back on. Now, in recent years, that hasn't been a very long time, but I think just because of the over appeal amount that was happening during the fall, I would say that is probably the reason it was taking so long. In the, account shutdowns and disapprovals that I have had in the past, it has never taken me that long. The most important thing is just to get that submitted as quickly as possible. I think it's also important to note how advertising actually works. And this goes in line with small business who claim that the ad accounts are just never in their favor. It's just so expensive for them and they can't get in, and they, Facebook gives prime, location or, placement to the bigger, larger companies. Well, in order to understand how Facebook marketing actually works, in reality, it's very simple. A lot of people already know this, is that Facebook works like an auction. So businesses that spend more effectively can make more and can have better traffic and get in front of customers. Now, it's not necessarily as simple as that, but because there are ways for you, even if you're small, to get a place on there and for you to be able to be optimized. But at the same time, it's important to understand how that auction works, because if you think about it, if you had just a room full of people that were bidding on something, say it was at this bid is at $1 million, and if somebody else, the bid's all the way to $1 million, somebody raises their sign and says 20,000, well, everyone's going to turn around and they're going to look at that guy like he's an idiot. They're going to laugh so hard because the bid's at $1 million. And you're trying to now bid $20,000. Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but in realistic and simple terms for machine learning, in a simplistic way, that's kind of how the algorithm works as well. Now, Facebook has around 90 million Facebook pages for small businesses, and I'm not entirely sure how many ad accounts that actually equates to, but I know most small businesses can have 1 to 5 ad accounts with their page. And so with that, even if there's 10% of people that have more than one ad account, which most people do have more than one ad account, that's a decent amount of ad accounts on there. People that are trying to get in front of probably the same customers that you're trying to get in front of. Everything just has to do with competition. And this number just grows every day. So more competition, that means higher costs. And scale typically happens with budget. And so you just can't expect to be optimized at $20 to $50 a day. You might have been able to do something like that maybe 6 to 9 years ago or so. At the same time, as people keep on creating pages, because 10 years ago, not every business was trying to be on Facebook, but now every business has to be on Facebook. And now that they all have started advertising, there is an increased amount of competition, especially in a business like e-com. Think about how many e-com stores, how easy it is now to create an e-com store. And what is disappointing to me is that you have a lot of Facebook marketers and Facebook courses out there that are teaching the marketing, but they're not really teaching how to apply those principles to a small business and effectively scale, because there is a way to scale. It's just you have to have more of a long-term view, because as the competition keeps on rising, and if you're in a really competitive market, well, the people that are already in there spending a ton of money, those are the people that already have optimized accounts because they've been spending for a long time. That's another important factor, is the idea of how long have you actually been on the platform. Somebody who's been on there for 5 years and has spent a lot of money with Facebook, there's already somewhat of a history there. Facebook's had a huge problem over the years with, affiliate marketers, really, really big affiliate companies going in, creating accounts, brand spanking new, and just pumping $100,000 into an ad account in one day. Well, and then you have an issue in the auction as well, because now that somebody just pumped in $100,000 randomly in a day, well, that screws over everybody else too, because it changes the algorithm. Now the algorithm has to think about, at one point, these people over here were spending this much money for this customer. Maybe it's, they were spending $30 for a conversion. Now this person over here, they are putting in $100,000 and they're willing to pay $50 or $60 for a conversion. Well, now that all of a sudden bumps up costs for everybody. And it's something that Facebook's had a hard time dealing with. But so at the same time, history on the account, how long you've been there, can make a difference, because they want trustworthy people on their platform, and the people that have been there for a long time most likely have a good sized brand. People actually want those brands to be there, because Facebook just doesn't want people's, their streams just filled with meaningless ads. They want legitimate people or businesses that are creating engagement for people. So do they hate small businesses? No, I don't think that they do. And now, are there issues with customer service? Yes, especially at scale. I'm not sure what they're necessarily going to do about this, or what they can do about this, just because when you have so many people submitting appeals to different people, it either means that you have to create an AI that can simplify this even more, or you just have to expand your people. But at the same time, there's already a lot of people that are doing this. And so this has got to be a more simple appeal process. But right now, it's one of their biggest issues, so they can expand and handle appeals so quickly. Budgets have increased, most likely due to competition. That's what we covered. Now, it's also important to understand what we saw this year. that even though there were issues in the fall, you'll notice that pretty much the rest of the year, advertising all of a sudden became really cheap for a lot of people. CPMs dramatically went down. And why was that? Well, because you had more people sitting at home, therefore more people are on Facebook more during the day, therefore there's more eyeballs on the platform, therefore there's more real estate. So that's why, it went down a little bit. And the algorithm then has to adjust for this, and now the algorithm is having to adjust for right now as well. So it's something that's important to keep in mind, that due to competition, if you're in a really competitive market, you have to be expecting to be able to spend for the customer. It's not going to be quick, I'll tell you that. A small budget of $20 to $50 a day, it might happen, but it's going to take a long time, and it's just not going to be something that is very fast. So advertising is constantly changing in this way, and I look forward to at least 2021 to see what changes are going to happen then and how we can adapt and grow as a community and prepare for those things. So small businesses, all in all, I think can be very successful on Facebook. I've done it myself, and I've done it for other people as well, a lot of other people. And so you just need to have a long-term branding strategy, what I've talked about a lot on this channel. And above all else, I say this in almost every single video so that you guys get it. If you don't get anything else from this video, write this down. You need to be able to mitigate your risk with cross-channel or even starting multiple ad accounts on Facebook, because we're thinking about how to scale, how to grow a business. It's not just about running Facebook ads and creating funnels. There's a million other things that you can do to get it done a lot quicker, unless you're starting with $1 million budget and a solid brand and you can come in and do that. That would be the best route that I would recommend for small business. And the thing about what's happening right now is the risk has always been there. The risk of ad account shutdowns and disapprovals and not being able to scale, and the idea of competition rising, that risk has been there for a long time. It's just that the issue is that it took time for people to actually realize it. But by now, there's already a lot of businesses and competition. Competition has already gotten bigger. And I think it's just something that a lot of people weren't prepared for, but the risks were already there. Now they're happening, and it's affecting a lot of people. And what's important for you as a small business is to be able to mitigate that risk and be able to scale your company online. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. It's exciting to be here in 2021, first video of 2021. So really looking forward to this year and making a lot of changes and a lot of growth. I hope you are as well. If you found value in this, make sure that you like the video down below. I would love to keep making content for you guys. So comment down below if there's something specific you want me to talk about. All right. Thanks so much, guys. Until next time.